This video is brought to you by Letsynthisize Academy, the #1 place for practice-oriented courses for serious music producers.
Yo, Larson here, welcome to the new Synthesize Sunday episode, and today I want to show you this awesome rack that can create new bass sound by one click in the style of Peekaboo, Hemdi, Skrillex, you know, this new deep dubstep style like this. Like always, you can grab this project from my Patreon below with tons of other different dubstep, drum and bass, house styles, Ableton projects. And click here for my academy if you want to learn a lot more about music production. But right now, let's jump into it. Okay, so here are the drums. Right, so we have the main kick, snare. I love this offbeat kind of percussion sound. And the 808 hi-hat. Okay, we have this loop. And I love this feel, honestly, because without some extra effects, this is how it sounds. But it sounds so grainy by just simply, clicking on warp and shift dragging it. This is how I stretch the sound, and playing with the texture settings, you can create this very nice grainy sound that goes really well with the other drums. We have some nice effects. All these are coming from Serum. Sounds like they are vocals, but no! Let me show you how I made this sound like vocal. Super simple stuff. This is the original one. I use a ReCMS wavetable and frequency modulated with this saw with lots of unison voices, and the noise gives some nice organic texture to it. Now the all-pass filter creates this awesome, almost unison-like chaos inside the sound that is very tonal this time, and I love what it does to the sound, but I wanted to tweak it further with the ring modulator. By just slightly modulating it with envelope 1. And all the other effects, I just basically made the sound a little cleaner, so the chorus, compressor, reverb, equalizer, made the sound fatter. And then I just copied it and changed a few stuff, for example the shifter, which is in ring modulation mode at this time. Because without that the sound was too sweepy, so with ring modulator turned on, it sounds vocally again. So as you can see, I just tweaked the wavetables on both of the oscillators and switched the all-pass to the comp, and I ditched the unison voices, I kept the noise, and everything else is the same except that I'm not using a ring modulator filter, only this here, so after the whole stuff. So I started experimenting with frequency modulation, and I turned to ring modulation, and I prefer the sound over the frequency modulation, so that is why I kept it there. But everything else is the same here, as you can see, and some noise effect. So it is really simple, but let's go to our main topic, this rack. So as you can see, it's one rack, so one instrument containing 2 instances of operators, but you can create millions of different sounds out of that. I made a safe copy to explain what it is here without, messing up the original one. Right, so as you can see, I made several cool presets here to prove that you can make millions of different sounds out of this one preset or this one device. It's so cool. I love the running shoes too. You can see how diverse this rack is. Okay, so let's jump into operators, and as you can see, I'm using two layers, one for the sub that share the same LFO movement. As you can see, I can tweak it using the LFO sync knob on both of the operators. So as you can see, they are mapped to the same macro, but the sub is just a sub, which is more important here is the top layer. So first of all, I used this FM chain, which means I have one for the sub and one for the higher tops of the sound. Now you may ask why I'm using a separate sub here on the tops folder or a tops layer when I have a dedicated sub instrument. Now simply because if I deactivate it, you will hear that the lower frequency sub won't amplitude modulate the higher frequency sound. So right now it's just a noise, but if I add the sub back, you can hear how the lower frequency adds the tonality of the sound for the higher harmonics, and that is actually important because I'm distorting them together inside the filter. So as you can see, I'm using the filter drive and some soft shaping. Let's choose a different preset, for example, my first favorite, the Real G. So if I deactivate the sub in the top layer, it is not that gritty, and I wanted to use some gritty sound simply by compressing or distorting, saturating the lower frequencies with the higher frequencies, creating that gritty, almost amplitude modulated sound. And after that, I have three different oscillators or operators frequency modulating each other, and this is so cool because I mapped, as you can see, the courses and the levels to macro knobs that you can randomize, and by this creating lots of different tones out of by just simply one sound or one instrument. And the other important stuff is I'm using a bandpass filter. As you can see, you can tweak it too, but I felt that this is the best setting for these type of sounds. And we have a pitch envelope that is so cool if you want to create punchy or moving pitch dropping effect on a sound. For example, the UFO landing is something like that. Such a cool stuff. Alright, so basically this is it inside operator. I have the saturator by just cranking everything to the ceiling, and because I'm using two voices of unison in the sound, I wanted to have a mono signal. This is why I chose only the left side of the signal, so this way I'm not getting any phase cancellation or any weird stuff on the sound by simply just having the unison voices. That is so cool. I have an OTT, and I cut the very lows because I'm using a separate sub, and an overdrive to make the tops a little more cleaner or more shinier. If you find that it is not enough, just crank up the drive head or the tone. And the beauty of this is if you hit randomization, right, so there are two other sounds that I want to talk about. Is a rumble that I honestly really love, and it sounds so cool in the mix. Right, so as you can see, I had to apply some serious EQing to get rid of the very mid-low, the muddiness of the sound, and the squeaky, very ear-bleeding kind of frequency at around 7K. That comes from the noise oscillator. So as you can see, I'm using the wind chimes. Without that, it's just boring. So it doesn't have anything on the mids and on the mid highs, more like on the mid highs. But basically, I'm using the BS2 filthy wavetable with some low pass and heavy drive. So without a drive, so the drive is what creates that really nice rumbly sound, along with the cutoff modulation on LFO1. I'm not using any unison voices, and the reverb is not important here. but with some extra sine shaper and an OTT with some stereo width. This sound turns into life and it is so cool, very nice rumble. But basically what you need is a wavetable with lots of higher overtones or mid-low overtones and some low pass filtering with huge drive and some extra distortion, and basically that is it. But you need to modulate the cutoff and this so-called growly bass. Again, it's such a simple stuff. This anti-static wavetable frequency modulates a sine with some noise, a sub-oscillator, and a bit of drive inside a filter, OTT, and the sine phone that is actually very cool because it creates the noise on top of everything, and the low pass filter to get rid of the very ear bleeding highs, and some extra EQing with a reverb to make everything to the point. But basically it's just a wavetable frequency modulating a sine, and that is all. Right, so grab this project from my Patreon below. I have like millions of different Ableton projects there, and click here for my academy to learn a lot more about music production. See you guys next time. Peace.